done by Umair Siddiqui and the translation by Sara Siddiqui. So I request Umair to come to the stage.
وعد الله الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم والذين كفروا وكذبوا بآياتنا أولئك أصحاب الجحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ هم قوم أن يبسطوا عليكم أيديهم فكف أيديهم عنكم واتقوا الله وعلى الله فليتوكل المؤمنون صدق الله العظيم.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. O you who have believed, be persistently standing firm for Allah, witnesses in justice, and do not let the hatred of a people prevent you from being righteousness. And fear Allah. Indeed, Allah is acquainted with what you do. Allah has promised that those who believe and do righteous deeds, that for them there is great forgiveness and reward. But those who disbelieve and deny our signs, those are the companions of hellfire. O you who have believed, remember the favor of Allah upon you when a people determined to extend their hands in aggression against you, but He withheld their hands from you. And fear Allah, and upon Allah let the believers rely.
Thank you, Umair and Sara, for the recitation and the translation. Once again, those who are standing and talking, if you could take a seat, that would be very helpful. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, that means peace be upon you, and good evening to you all. I'm so glad to see you all in this room. And I want to extend the warmest, I know it will be very much appreciated today especially, the warmest welcome to each one of you in this room. I want to thank our city leadership for accepting our invitation and being here today with us. And as the assigned liaison with the city of Naperville and the Islamic community here, I want to thank the Naperville Islamic Center for helping organize this event and acknowledge and appreciate all the help done by the city leadership. So please give a round of applause. When we planned this event, when I talked to Mayor and the other leadership at the city level as well as with Shoaib Bhai and other leaders at ICN, 2 months back, we never thought that we will be hit by a polar vortex a day before. But it happened to be good. It helped us get out of our home and come here, enjoy some good food, have some good company. And moreover, I want to use this opportunity to thank our Creator for keeping us safe in the last several days, and thank our city leadership for making us safe at our home and on the roads. So thank you so much for all who are sitting here as well. Thank you. I will try to make my speech short. but I would like to introduce the guests to each one of you. Most of you may know who is sitting over here. However, those who don't know, I would like to take a few minutes to introduce you. Prior to that, I would like to go through the agenda real quick. So today, right after my speech, Brother Shoaib Qadri, the president of ICN, will be giving a speech, followed by Mayor Steve Chirico, and then Police Chief Bob Marshall, and Fire Chief Mark Pugnatis. After that, there will be a Q&A session where there will be a moderator who will be asking questions to the panel, and the City Council and the rest of the leadership will be responding to that questions. With that, I would like to take a few minutes to go through the guest list so that you all know who is who. I'll start with our Honorable Mayor, Steve Chirico. Steve Chirico is a long-time resident of Naperville, a local businessman, and leading us from the last 4 years. And I thank Mayor for his great vision for our great city of Naperville. Next is our City Manager, Doug Prager. Doug has been a former naval officer as well as a long-time manager of our city. And thank you, Doug, for your service to our nation as well as to our city. Thank you. Police Chief Bob Marshall and Fire Chief Mark Pugnatis. I just want to honor both of them together for the great service you both do to our city of Naperville to keep us safe and secure, especially in the last few days. Thank you to both of you. Next is Becky Anderson. She couldn't be here today, but most of you know her. She's the owner of Anderson Bookstore, and she's also part of quite a few organizations and committees. Next is Rebecca Boyd-Obarski, a councilwoman who is very close to us. However, she couldn't join us today here either, and she's also part of several key commissions at the city of Naperville. Next is Judith Broadhead, councilwoman, one of the senior most councilwomen in our city council, and she's part of several commissions: the River Walk Commission, DuPage Mayors and Managers, Legislative Steering Committee, and several other key committees. And she's also an associate professor of English at North Central. Thank you. Kevin Coyne, councilman, attorney by profession, and a good friend of all of us. Kevin, I just want to also thank you for standing up against the hate which was poured against our beautiful city of Naperville in the last few days. Thank you so much. Patty Gustin. Patty, she's part of several commissions, but I want to, I'm so special to, I want to specifically mention about the Sister Cities Commission, which I am part of, which is the liaison from the council. Thank you so much, Patty, for your leadership. Paul Hinterlaw. Actually, when we were preparing the slides, I was surprised to know that Paul is 6th generation resident of Naperville. And that is not the only reason why Paul is so familiar with all of us. Paul can be seen in every major activities happening in the city. One of the key council members, and so proud and happy to have Paul here today. Thank you, Paul. John Freeman. John is also part of several commissions, including the Financial Advisory Board, NCTV, and several other commissions, and also an engineering and IT executive. And that may be one thing which may be wide with a lot of us who are here who work in the IT industry. John Freeman, thank you, John. Benny White, Dr. Benny White. And Benny is actually a veteran of 22 years in the Army. And also he was part of our school district board. Thank you, Benny, for your service to our school district as well as to our nation. Thank you. With that, I would hand over the mic to the president of ICN, Shoaib Qadri. Prior to that, I just want to let you know there won't be an emceeing, a full-time emceeing, and I will be intervening as needed, if at all needed. Otherwise, the program will flow as I have shared with you earlier, that I will remind you one more time. after Shoaib Qadri, then the mayor will give a speech, and then police chief and fire chief, and then there will be an open Q&A. Thank you so much, and I hope you all will enjoy this evening, and thank you for coming here to show our support, respect to our city of Naperville. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, most compassionate, most merciful. On behalf of the board and the entire community of the Islamic Center of Naperville, let me extend a warm welcome to our distinguished guests over here, Mayor Jericho, City Council, Police Chief, Fire Chief. We are truly honored that you could be here. And once again, I'd like to welcome you with the beautiful Islamic greeting, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, which means may the peace, mercy, and blessings of the Almighty be upon all of us. Well, you must have noticed that the weather changed since last night, and I'm sure you will attribute that to the warm hospitality that you see here, for sure. I know most of you are no strangers to ICN, so I don't want to introduce ICN, but I just want to give you a quick update on what's been going on in the past few months. For those of you who may not be aware, the Islamic Center of Naperville is one of the largest Muslim communities in the Chicagoland area, where we serve about 4,000 families. And as you know, we had two facilities for the longest time, one on the east side in Olson Drive, and one here at Ogden to serve the west side. But about 3 months ago, we just acquired our third facility on 75th and Naper. Again, the community on the east side has been growing, and Olson wasn't big enough, so we acquired that to meet the growing needs for the east side. Of course, with more facilities, we're able to expand our programs and expand the service that we give out to the larger community. And for us, community service is an integral part of our belief, of our religion. As our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, none of you truly believes until you love for your neighbor what you love for yourself. So I want to take this opportunity to thank the city leadership for their support to ICN for the past 28 years that ICN has been in existence. And the support starts right at the top. For those of you who don't know, Mayor Jericho reached out to me personally a few days ago as soon as he heard about the incident where we had a car run into our building. He reached out to make sure everything was fine. He wanted to, see if there's anything, his city, if the city and the department can help. And this support, it starts from the top and extends with the police department, the fire department. Our police chief, Bob Marshall, has been very proactive. Every time he gets the slightest hint of a threat, I get a call, a text, an email from Chief Marshall saying, is everything all right? And then he sends out, additional patrolling, always proactive. And something that you might not know, the trust and relationship that we've built with the police department extends to a level that on a couple of occasions when the police chief was interviewing for some senior police positions, he invited on 2 different occasions a couple of us board members to be on the interview panel, and that was a great honor. And another thing that a lot of you might not know is that our resident scholar, Sheikh Rizwan Ali, is a chaplain imam at the Naperville Police Department. He's got this badge. Next time you see him, ask him to flash his NPD badge that he proudly carries. Chief is waiting for the holster now. And our dear friend, Mark Paknidis of Fire Chief Pagma Contreras, thank you for your friendship and your support for various programs that we have worked on at the scouting level and various committees. We work with the fire department, been extremely supportive of us. Now we've gone to the Naperville City Council numerous times over the past 28 years. As you know, we had Olsen first, then we purchased this facility, we expanded this facility, we had to get parking expanded. At every step of the way, we had to go to the City Council. So, and I must say that every time we went to the City Council, all the City Council members have been extremely cooperative, extremely supportive. Please join me in a round of applause for thanking the City Council for their support. Well, as we grow, you know that we're going to come knocking at your door more often. As many of you are aware, we own a 14-acre parcel of land in southwest Naperville. That's our next big project because we see the growth. As you've seen the growth in Naperville, so do we see the growth in our community on the west and southwest side. So we're looking at a facility there on the 248th Avenue, which we hope to start building soon. You know what they say in real estate, they say, when you build, they will come. And that is so true with mosques. You know, we've seen that across the nation, when a mosque is built, immediately a lot of the Muslim families move in. And you know what that means? More of us move in, it's better for the economy. We're here to bolster the economy of Naperville. So when you see us coming and asking for permits, you know it's a good thing. Once again, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you. We're truly honored that you could take time off, come and spend time with us. And we thank you for your friendship, and we look forward to strengthening our relationship with the city and the leadership. Thank you. God bless.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for having us here this evening. It's a pleasure to be back. Good to see you all. President Shoaib, thank you so much. And Shafiq, for all the work. Where are you at, Shafiq? Wherever you're at, for all your work, putting this together, we appreciate it. This is coming to the end of my first term, so I thought I'd speak to you a little bit about what's happened in the last almost 4 years. Naperville's come a long way, and I'm very, very proud of the City Council and their accomplishments. When we took office several years back, we were still coming out of the effects of the recession. We had a significant amount of debt. We had spent much of our cash reserves. We were underfunding our infrastructure, and it wasn't a very sustainable path financially. And so this City Council took it upon themselves to make some very, very difficult decisions and votes. Included raising some revenues, which is never an easy conversation to have. But we did it, and we made sure that when we raised those revenues, that they were restricted funds and applied appropriately to debt reduction, replenishing our cash reserves, and reinvesting our infrastructure. And I'm proud to say that today, we've reduced our debt by over $20 million, which is about 21%. We have replenished our cash reserves, about $3 million extra, on our way to our goal of hitting 25%. We have reinvested in our infrastructure, brought our investment back into our infrastructure back up to almost pre-recession levels. We're almost there. And this is important because we can't allow the city just to, fall apart. It has to be maintained. If you don't maintain it at the proper level for a number of years, we'll start to see the effects of it. I think we were. So we've done this in 3 years. At the same time, while this is being done, the city has reduced the municipal property tax by 15% over 4 years. Really an accomplishment. All of this was done maintaining the AAA bond rating of the community. All of this was done in about 3.5 years. Really a tremendous accomplishment for this council. It did take political courage. It's not easy to make those votes. And it's not fun or sexy to pay off debt, let me tell you. It's not fun to save money. It's not fun to reinvest in infrastructure. people like to build things and do things that you can celebrate, and you don't get to celebrate paying off debt. So these are things that are just hard to get people excited about, but they did the right thing, and I just want to give them a round of applause because this was something that's helped our city. 4 years ago when I took office, one of the first things I did as mayor is I looked at our boards and commissions, and I realized that our boards and commissions don't look like our city. And so I took it upon myself at that time as mayor, and one of my responsibilities is to make recommendations for appointments to boards and commissions to our city council for final approval. We went through and we looked at all the categories I could think of. South Naperville versus North Naperville, minorities, age, gender, and really in every single category, it wasn't a good reflection of our community. And so we immediately started off by going ahead and trying to get that equalized. Now it takes time because these board positions are usually 3-year appointments, and oftentimes they come with a 3-year reappointment, and so they don't turn over as much as you might think. But we have approved 50 women to our boards and commissions in the last 4 years. And we have 38 minorities, most of which are Asian American. And that's almost close to our demographics in our town. We have a little bit of ways to go with the Indian Pakistani American category, but we're getting there. In fact, last week we have approved Cherie as a disabilities? No, housing. And that's the 12th Indian Pakistani group of appointments that we've made in the last 4 years. Sahil, number 11. and Malcolm back there is number maybe 8 or something like that, or 9, I don't know. But so we have three board members with us here this evening, or 2 board members here with us this evening. Actually 3, because Shafiq is a board member as well in Sister Cities. There you are. So thank you for all of you for volunteering and being a part of Naperville. Civic engagement is not something that comes naturally to everybody, and so we've been working hard, I think, to try to get that civic engagement. And Shafiq and Krishna Bansal and others have been really assisting us in trying to get people to apply and to be a part of this. And it's important because the more people who are involved in our government, the better our government is. And speaking of that, I'd like to acknowledge this evening that there are several candidates for positions in various boards in Naperville. And I'll just start right now. And if I miss you, please raise your hand up so I can recognize you. Michelle Clemens is a candidate for Naperville City Council. Ruby Robbins is a candidate for Naperville City Council. Okay, I see Joe McElroy back here is a candidate for City Council. Mark Rice is standing in the very back. He's a candidate he's currently a school board member, and he's also a candidate to run for school board again. This is 204. Thank you. And I thought I saw Justin Krug. Right here. There it is. Sorry, there it is. And Justin also, so we're running for school board again. So Natasha, where are you at? Natasha was filling a position and running for school board 204 as well. Thank you for being a part of that. And Bruce Hansen was here, but he had left. He's running for Naperville City Council. All the candidates, thank you very much. When you put yourself out there to run for an office, you put yourself out to be judged by the public. And that's a very uncomfortable position, especially today with social media. That is, you see what's out there, it's awful. And it's not easy when you read something about yourself or your family members read something about you that is vicious. And so that's what you have to do today when you're a candidate for council. I also want to mention that we have 2 current city council members. Councilwoman Gustin, who's running for a re-election for city council, currently a member, and Councilman Paul Hinterlaw, both on our current city council. So thank you guys for serving for the last 4 years and for continuing to run the city. So we will continue to work with the community to try to get civic engagement, and it's something that is very, very important. Naperville, our government is works very well because we have so many people who are involved with it. Boards and commissions do a lot of the heavy lifting here in Naperville, and so it's critical that we have as many voices and views as we can to help make good decisions at the city council level. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Chief Marshall. Please, Chief Bob Marshall.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Marshall, Police Chief, a proud police chief in the city of Naperville, and it's really an honor for me to represent the 271 employees that work for the police department, 169 sworn officers that are here to serve and protect you. I'd like to thank Shoaib for the partnership ICN has with the police department. And it goes back to right after 9/11, when the Muslim community was enduring quite a bit of criticism based on the attacks. And the mosque on Olson Lane, our department spent quite a bit of time there to ensure the safety of everybody who attended the mosque. And that's when we really started building that partnership that we enjoy today, is to, again, work on that relationship to ensure that everybody at the mosque can live and be treated fairly and equally. And it gave our department the opportunity, again, to build that relationship, to build that partnership. And our mission in the police department is to serve our community and also protect life and property. And we take that mission very, very seriously. And we're very proud that our community is one of the safest cities in America. And that's done not only by some great police work, but it's the partnerships we enjoy with the members of the city of Naperville. It's very important that we work together with our citizens to ensure that our community remains one of the safest cities. Our department, our police department, is one of 30 benchmark cities. And every year we have a conference. Our conference is coming up in May of this year. And those 30 communities have demographics just like Naperville. And every time I go to that conference, pretty much we get made fun of because of our low crime rate. And every time that happens, we proudly accept that good-natured kidding, because that's what it's all about. People move to Naperville for obviously good schools, good education, but it's also about public safety. And people need to feel safe in their businesses, in their homes. And as I said earlier, that's one of our prime objectives, is our mission to keep the community safe. So what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about some of the programs. Every year we go over our goals, and we're very proud of some of the programs we have in place in the police department, which help keep our crime rate very low. How many of you are aware of our crime incident map? Can you raise your hands? Higher, please. So one of the things about a partnership is that people need to know what's going on in their neighborhoods, right? So several years ago, we put on our website a crime incident map, where all you have to do is go to our website and you can look at areas in your neighborhoods and find out what types of crimes are occurring in your neighborhood. And it's very important that you know that, so that you can watch out for yourselves as watch out for your neighbors, because we only have so many police officers that we have in the city of Naperville. So we really count on our residents to be the eyes and the ears of our police department, and let us know. If you see something, say something. And one way to do that is find out what's going on in your neighborhood. So I encourage you to go into that crime incident map to see what's occurring in your neighborhood. Another one of our campaigns is our Safe Neighbor campaign. And we started this about a year ago. And we talk about, one of our campaigns is what? Does anybody know? Lock it or lose it. Lock it or lose it. Because guess what? When we look at our burglary statistics, and that's both residential as well as motor vehicle, how many of those vehicles do you think, or those residents, are unlocked? Well, We've done the analytics. 70% of the burglaries in the city of Naperville are through unlocked cars, unlocked residents. So please help your police department by locking your cars and lock your residents. Because unfortunately, the criminal element, they pay attention. And they know that people in the western suburbs, not only Naperville, leave their cars unlocked. Last year we had 8 vehicles stolen from driveways with their keys or fobs right in the vehicle. And of those 8 vehicles, 3 of them actually had weapons, firearms within those vehicles. And they're unlocked in the driveway. So we constantly talk about that on our Safer Neighbor campaign. So please, lock your residents, lock your vehicles. The other program I'd like to talk about is the opiate epidemic. I think everybody's familiar with that. We in law enforcement know that we're not going to be able to arrest our way out of the drug problem in the United States. So we've implemented a program called Connect for Life. This is a program that helps individuals who are addicted to opiates, whether it's a heroin or it's a prescription drug. It's a program we started a year and a half ago, and we invite people that are addicted to call the Naperville Police Department or actually show up at the Naperville Police Department, and we will link you with a substance abuse counselor. Again, we're looking at treating those who are addicted to opiates. To date, we've been able to help 50 people get the help they need to try to cure that addiction. We've also been, thank you. We've also been very successful in getting a grant. We just applied for a $100,000 grant to help people because many of the people who are addicted to opiates just don't have the money for treatment. So we've been able to have get a grant to help them get into those substance abuse counselors and then treatment programs, and we've had people go as far away as Florida to get the treatment they need. So that Connect for Life program, very important to our community to help those people that are addicted. We also still go after those who sell the drugs, the heroin, the fentanyl. That's very dangerous. So not only are we helping the addicts, but those individuals who sell narcotics, illegal drugs, we're still very actively pursuing them as well. One of the other programs we have is our crisis intervention team. Over the last 5 years, we've seen calls regarding mental health go from about 350 calls 5 years ago to 2018, almost 1,000 mental health calls our officers are responding to. So we've trained our officers. We have 25% of our officers that are certified crisis intervention specialists. And our goal is to train close to 100% of our police officers so they are able to de-escalate situations that involve people who are suffering from a mental illness. So that's a very important program for our department, and it's very important that we have the skills, that we give the officers the skills through the training to de-escalate situations involving those who are experiencing mental illness. The last thing our officers want to do is use force against somebody who's suffering from a mental health concern. So we're very proud of that program. That program continues to this day, and it also is directly in line with the training we provide our officers, and that is to de-escalate conflict. And our de-escalation training has been very popular throughout our department. And again, our goal is, right now we have 25% of the officers trained, as well as our dispatchers. Sometimes people forget about our 911 dispatchers, because that is the first point of contact. So our 911 dispatchers are able to de-escalate some of these calls right over the phone. Some of the other programs we have looking forward is reference to our technology. This year we're working on a next generation 911 system. Obviously 911 is very important to our residents to be able to, if they're involved in an emergency situation, to get the police department there as quick as possible, as well as the fire department. So next generation 911 will allow our department to receive text messages as well as video from our residents. Very important that we implement implement this new technology, again, to continue to serve our residents. When I look at expectations for our police department, I really look at what our residents expect, really two things. When we call you, come as fast as you can. And number two, help us solve our problem. And that is what we're committed to do in the Naperville Police Department, to do those two things. Our objective, 911 calls, is to get to your residents 5.5 minutes or less. And I'm very proud to say that in 2018, all of our 911 calls, we were able to get to the residents or the business in 5.5 minutes or less. Many of those calls and I know 5.5 minutes sounds a long time when somebody is attempting to break into your car. So the majority of our calls were there much less than 5.5 minutes. So I'm very pleased to say that. Some of the other programs we have is it's very important for us to get out in the community. One of the programs we have is it's called Chat with the Chief, which I implemented several years ago. I bring my management staff with me, and we go to various areas of the community. And what I really call those is listening tours. So every 3 months we're in different areas of the community, and we just want to listen to what residents have to say about our police department. What are some concerns? What are some problems they're dealing with? So we can proactively work on those problems with the residents and solve those problems. So it's very important that we're out in the community, we're visible, and that we listen to what some of the issues that our neighbors, our residents are confronted with. So a couple other programs we do have that I want to briefly mention is our drug take-back program. So we partnered with the fire department several years ago, and we're encouraging people that have opiates that they're not using. Because these opiates, if they're not turned in, they get in the hands of people that really shouldn't have them. So we have drop boxes at all of 10 fire stations as well as the police department. And last year we took over 2,000 pounds of opiates that residents have come in and turned in to our police department, to our fire department. Again, keeping us one of the safest cities by having a appropriate disposal place for these opiates. We also have a gun take-back program. Not many people know about that, but last year we had residents turn in 50 firearms to our police department, which we were able, again, to destroy, so they're not in the hands of people who don't need those firearms. So these are very proactive programs that we have in place in the police department and the community, again, to keep our community one of the safest in America. So again, I'd like to thank you for the partnership we enjoy with ICN. We continue to build that relationship, and please, if you have any questions, comments, contact me, go to our website, and again, we enjoy this partnership. We want to continue to build it and strengthen it. Thank you so much.
That was the longest 3-minute speech I've ever heard.
Longest.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I will try to keep this shorter. You know I can do it. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Pucknitis. I'm your fire chief, and it is really a pleasure to be here. I want to thank everybody from the ICN community for, once again, welcoming all of us here tonight, and for what you do throughout the year. It really is a partnership that we have, and don't we have a wonderful mayor and city council and city staff that really does an I am here to tell you that I am so proud of Naperville because of a lot of things. And the India community, the folks that are represented here, and there's so many people in the community that have really touched us in the fire department. You know, sometimes you say, well, boy, it's nice that you include us. Well, you've included us. And I say that because each year there's a handful of people that I meet that draw me closer to your community. Whether it's working with the Girl Scouts,
planting flowers at our public safety center. Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts and doing wonderful work and putting benches around our public safety area, or whether it's just collaborating with groups that are out there throughout the community. It really says a lot about Naperville, and it says a lot about what we can do to develop that friendship and to develop that bond. And really, isn't that what every community should be all about? But unfortunately, that is not the case in every community. All you have to do is turn on the TV or read the newspaper or look on your iPad, and you can see that that's not the case. We are really making a difference here. And in the fire department, there's a lot of things that we're doing. We work very closely with the police department and a lot of things that we do. This past week has been a challenge for many of us. You know, yesterday we had a couple of structure fires. We had over 100 incidents. Today at about 3 o'clock, we counted more than 60 incidents. But that's what we do. And our job is really to make your life that much easier or more tolerable in some of the worst situations that you could ever experience, because that's when we usually come in contact with you. And we want to leave that with you knowing that we left things in a better place than what they were, whether it's a loss of a loved one or somebody injured or ill, or coming to the call of a structure fire or a medical emergency. There's so much that we do in the fire department. It's more than just responding to structure fires and medical emergencies. Over the last few months, I challenged our department to list the services that we do provide for this community. You know, we came up very easily with over 60 services that we provide this community. And I'm proud of the fire department that I can lead, and I want to say the leading that we do in the fire department is courageous leadership. We're not afraid to take a step forward. We're not afraid to make mistakes, and we're not afraid to strive at new venues and work to achieve some things that maybe nobody has ever strived for before. Chief Marshall talked about prescription drug drop-off programs. A program like that, over 4 or 5 years ago when the mayor brought it to my attention that why can't we have a drug drop-off program at every firehouse? I said, I don't know, why can't we? And even the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, said, you can't do that. And I said, we're going to do that. And we did. And because of that, as you heard, we collect over 2,000 pounds of drugs every year off the street. And we're doing much more. There's so much more that we can do as we move ahead, as we move forward in this community. Our theme this year is community risk reduction. And you know, the fire department is famous for response, right? The chief talks about response. In the fire department, we're very proud of having a 6-minute response 90% of the time. So that includes when you call. I mean, your emergency starts when you recognize something, right? It gets better when we arrive at the scene, but not just when we arrive at the scene, but we have to do something. It's not just getting there. So when you call and that call has to get processed by a call taker, a telecommunicator, which is usually less than 1 minute, that goes to a dispatcher who dispatches our units, and within 1 minute and 30 seconds, we are processing that information, getting our gear on, getting in our vehicle and out the door, and within 4 minutes, getting to that location, travel time. So you take that all together, and it's about 6 minutes, 90% of the time. We are one of only 2 departments in the world that have been internationally accredited by the Center for Public Safety Excellence that accredits public safety agencies. And we have held that status now for 5 accreditation cycles, 5 years each, so for 25 years. So where do we go from here? When we put together our strategic plan in the fire department, we don't just ask ourselves or say, hey, what did we do last year? Let's applaud what we did. It's looking forward. What can we do as we look forward into our community? And we know, bless you, and we know that the world has changed around us. The world is constantly changing, and we have to change as well. The mayor always reminds me that the fire department is great at reinventing itself. And we have to. We have to reinvent ourselves. Why? Because the world is constantly doing that
that too. And when you talk about technology, technology works if you use it in the right way. We have an app on your iPhones or your cell phones. It's called the Pulse Point app. It's a free app. I don't know if any of you in the audience have that right now or know about that, but you should get it, because that will tell you where our calls are. If you see an ambulance driving by or something happening, you can look at your app and it'll tell you if it's a medical emergency or a vehicle accident. And it'll give you information that maybe you should stay clear of if there's something going on in town. And it's free for you. The city has invested in that so that you can see a more transparent view of what's happening in public safety, specifically in the fire department. So as we look ahead, we see what's happening. More and more people are coming to live here in Naperville. And people are getting older, and they're living longer. The senior and the aging community is one of our biggest concerns. And we have to take care of those folks, and we have to figure out ways how we can keep people safer and out of danger. So that's the community risk reduction. What can we do before the incident happens? Because you see, when the incident happens, something has failed, right? When that pipe breaks or that structure fire happens, somebody either did something wrong or something failed. So what we want to do is get ahead of that and say, and educate the public and do things that can stop things from happening before they occur. That's what we're trying to do with drug addiction too, aren't we? It's not enough to respond to those drug addiction calls. What we have to do is we have to stop that, and we have to figure out a way so that we can stop that so we don't have to respond at all. When we don't respond at all to an incident, it gets better. And that could include something as simple as a fall victim. One of our most common calls is a 70-year-old female who falls and suffers a hip fracture. That certainly could be avoided because of maybe the configuration in the house was a certain way that could have been changed, or maybe that person needed some sort of assistance. We can assist with that. And we're going to embark on a program where we will actually go into a home. We've actually been doing this for years, but we want to market that more so that everybody understands that. So we can check to see if there's unsafe conditions that we can correct and make safe. And if we do that more often with every single thing that is out there that we can identify, whether it's dealing with the mentally ill or the addiction that's out there, or the elderly person that may need some assistance, I think we're going to make a more impact on this community. And you can help us do that. You can help us do that by communicating this message to people that you know. There's people from the India community that have reached out to me and they said, you know what, we have relatives and friends that come here and visit from India. And you know what? They don't know how to use our appliances sometimes because it's different there than it is here. And it would be no different if I went and visited somebody in another foreign country and I didn't know how to use that. It's simple things like that. And sometimes those things cause fires and cause malfunctions. And that's something that I never thought about before. And I said, you're right, we need to do something about that. How can we put a program together to get some simple information out so that people understand how to use things that maybe they're not accustomed to? So it's that kind of stuff that we're involved with. We're going to continue to look ahead as we provide services to you. But I can't tell you how much I'm thankful for the collaboration, the friendship, and the kindness that we all show to each other throughout the year in everything that we do. And from the young men and women that are all part of your culture and help us to experience what that's all about, to the adults and the senior population that is just so friendly to everything that we do, and really pay thanks to us. You know, you don't have to do that. This is our job. This is our responsibility. But, you know, holidays come along and you're so kind. You come through the doors and you say, we just want to say thanks. Sometimes it's with a card. Sometimes it's with a gift. And it just, we don't expect that. But it's so nice of you to do that and just to show that love. And we want to show that back to you. So really, if there's anything that we can do specifically, please reach out to us. We try to keep you in our talks and our conversations, in our topics as we move ahead. And we want to make sure that we continue to collaborate and join as one as we make Naperville even better as time goes by, because we can always improve. Doesn't matter how good we are, we can always make improvements. We're always refining this diamond, and you're a big part of that. So with that, I just want to say thank you again for inviting myself and everybody else here this evening, and wish you the very best. Stay warm, and hopefully we're on the downside of all this cold. So thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So I think both the police chief and the fire chief measure speech time in either 5.5 minutes or 6 minutes. Anyway, I wanted to just address everyone really quick and let you know how we're going to do the question and answer session. This is something that's really critical for us because it allows the city leadership to understand better what is in our minds. My colleague Seth and myself have been working on this for the last couple of weeks. And we sent out a survey and we had the community submit a bunch of questions. And we were able to analyze them a little bit and consolidate them so that they're efficiently presented to you guys. And I have to tell you, I think Chief Marshal, you probably hit about 30 or 40% of them, but but I think but certainly we'll be able to get some more context from some of the other council members and such. So here's how we want to do this. I'm going to try to see how much we can extend this cable, if that's not a problem. I think we can get a little bit more out of it. So as I said, we consolidated about 5 or 6 questions, which Seth and myself will ask you guys directly, and I think that should encapsulate a lot of the thoughts that the community has. But there were also some specific questions that some of the members did, so we're going to have them come up in the second round and ask those. In the interest of time and efficiency, I think 2 to 3 minutes would be good for your responses, but I'll leave it to the leaders here to see who's best to address that. I know we have backgrounds from real estate, education, law, and so on, so however you feel is best to address it. I know, Doug, with the operations, there may be some questions related to that, and I'll let you guys figure out who's best to address which ones. The main thing that I want to emphasize is that what we want to be able to do is help the city leadership know what's important for our community. And we want to be able to address those in the best manner for you guys. So really, this is a mutual dialogue, but I really want you guys to get as much from what we're saying as we are from your speeches as well. So with that, let me take that first question and ask that. And then, as I said, afterwards, in the second round, we'll have folks come up and ask particular questions that were assigned. So, and as I said, I think Chief Marshal, this was already addressed, but what I would like to do is see from the context of the rest of the leadership how this could best be presented. So the question is also going to be presented on there, but I'm going to